order. Um, we're gonna be a little out of order on the agenda just because people have some other committee meetings to get to. So I'd first like to recognize Senator Hickman on Senate Bill number 2528. It's number 2 in your packet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Subcommittee, what this bill does is, and I've had, and I don't know how many people have confronted this issue. It's a one pager. What it would do is require that the Secretary of State have a registry for entities who fall under the Tort Claims Act, but are not absolute government entities, that are not like municipalities and all of this. I found out, and I practice, that municipalities can create, I guess, arms of themselves. Like the one that we ran into, like there's a solid waste arm for a couple of counties put together, and they fall under the Tort Claim Act. So this will just give somebody notice that this entity comes under the Tort Claims Act. I will, full disclosure, I've talked to the Secretary of State. He's getting back with me at whether this is something they would like to handle or can handle, so we can move it through the process. If not, then we'll find somebody who will handle it. But I think we need some type of registry where we know other entities other than our government entities, I guess I should say quasi-government entities who fall under the Tort Claim Act, are registered.
Questions from the committee? Seeing none. Go ahead and move to.
My motion is title sufficient, do pass.
Title sufficient, do pass. All in favor? Aye. Ayes? None. All right, go ahead and move that out. You can, though, before we put it in front of the full committee, make sure the Secretary of State's got it.
I'll get back with them.
Okay, the next bill that we'll pull up is Senate Bill 2527. Again, recognize Senator Hickman to explain.
This bill, what it does is it put into statute what kind of general the law is, and basically it provides, and all of the new language is found in lines 34 through like 47. There's another couple of underlined places here. What it does is it creates a rebuttable presumption that joint custody and equal sharing parent time is in the best interest of the child. And so if the judge finds otherwise, then they would just need to put that finding in their order. And it could be, you know, something as simple as, you know, the parents live too far apart to have equal parenting time, so we gave as much of a schedule as possible, or whatever, what have you. But this is just a presumption that both parents should enjoy equal custody and shared parenting time. And I think a lot of us know, and I actually talked to somebody the other day, I don't even know who it was, wasn't even about this bill, but they were just talking about how a lot of times certain judges will favor certain gender or parent to automatically have. This just removed that and said the presumption is everybody starts at an equal playing field. If there's a reason why it shouldn't be, then just write that out.
Is the current process, under the current process, is there a custodial, non-custodial parent?
Yes.
Is that how
it's a custodial, non-custodial parent, but this would give a rebuttable presumption that is joint custody with equal shared parent time.
Does this delete the custodial, non-custodial parent language?
Yes. Well, it didn't completely delete it, because there are instances where a judge could still give custodial custody to one, not the other. And I think that's at the beginning. Because we really just add a section.
So the custodial, non-custodial provisions are still available to
Yeah, they're available. The court can use any one of them. It just creates a presumption that where we started is that both parents are equal, and if we deviate from that, the reason why.
And one parent can rebut that presumption.
Absolutely, they can rebut that presumption, and all the judge has to do is say why they deviated from that standard.
Okay. Hearing that explanation, any questions from the committee members about Senate Bill 2527? None? All right. Motion, title sufficient to pass. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Hickman. The next bill that we'll roll to is number 3 in your program, Senate Bill number 2737. Recognize Senator Parker to explain.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 2737 comes to us from our friends from Child Protective Services. It just makes a change in the statute concerning a relative within the third degree. Currently, in the foster care statute for CPS, we have provision in, I believe it's line around 38, 39 of the bill that says current law says for a child placed in the care of the child's relative within the third degree of the state or county Department of Human Services. This would replace that with for a child placed by the Department of Child Protective Services in the care of any adult related by blood, marriage, or adoption within the third degree, or who makes up the family support system of the child, including adults related beyond the third degree, godparents, friends of the family, or other adults who have a strong familial bond with the child. And so it's just an encouragement to try to find people in this situation who have a closer connection or relationship to the child as far as this provision goes. But that's the only change in the bill. Be glad to answer any questions.
Questions from the committee? All right, motion?
Seeing none, motion will be title sufficient be passed.
For the motion, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Parker. I'm gonna handle Senate Bill 2765. It's the second to last one. And this bill was brought to us in response to a recent court decision that found that a foreign entity registered to do business in Mississippi with the Secretary of State may not be subject to personal jurisdiction of the state if they don't have sufficient personal contact, which is the traditional personal jurisdiction analysis. This would amend the long-arm statute to provide that a foreign entity that registers to do business in the state of Mississippi is amenable to personal jurisdiction within the state. So this would be I guess, a revision to the long-arm statute to provide for that personal jurisdiction. That's a brief explanation of the bill. Are there any questions from the committee? Seeing none, motion. For the motion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. We'll hold it. Senator England, are you ready to explain Senate Bill 2744? Okay, recognize Senator England.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a bill that I was just handed to present today because Senator Boyd can't be in here. I know this is a subcommittee, so I'm going to ask you to just, I'm going to hand you a handout that Senator Boyd has prepared, I believe, that talks about the proposed civil commitment changes. I have one for our chairman here too. And if you'll look, the proposed civil commitment process, the second page gives a very good graph here that I was just looking at myself. I know this is an area that we've all heard about, that we need that needs to be looked at here in our state. This bill provides for that to happen. And so I will give you a moment or two to look at this document that you have in front of you. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to entertain them and turn them over to Senator Boyd. So when we get this to the full committee, hopefully, which I'm going to ask you to pass this out of the subcommittee today so we can get it there and actually have a good discussion with the bill's author on this in that committee. You have a question, Angela? Yeah, well, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is, this first, the first, I guess, part of the graphic, pre-affidavit screening, and it says that it must be conducted prior to an affidavit being filed.
Mm-hmm.
And my assumption is, without having gone through all of this, that in the event that the person is uncooperative and is not willing to submit to the pre-affidavit, that the family member or whomever may go on and proceed with the filing of the commitment affidavit.
I think that's a good question. I'm going to ask legal counsel if he, Mr. Chairman, if you will recognize Mr. Sampson.
That's correct. They have One of the things that's different in the committee sub that's in front of you, it's separate, it's about 80 pages, is that they do have to attempt an interview with the patient. And then if they can't, then the family member can continue with the affidavit.
And so who, is it any of those parties, if it's the family member or the agency that is making the attempt, do they have to affirm or actually state in some sort of legal pleading that they have made the effort?
I think a statement's required in the affidavit, that the provisions of the section have been satisfied. And one of the big points to the bill is the lack of jail, removing jail as a holding option, and the bill speaks to that, that there's an exception only if the person is, if the chancellor orders it, the community mental health center finds that there's nowhere else for them to go, and that they're actively violent. But that's the only time that they can be held in jail, and that's only for 24 hours until another place can be found.
Thank you, Senator England, for that explanation of the bill. Are there any other questions from the committee? Seeing none, motion? For the motion, all those in favor? Aye. Ayes? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Seymour had to step out. I'm gonna do my best to explain Senate Bill 2269 based on what he described to me, yesterday. What are you showing me? Okay. What this bill is gonna do is there are firearm manufacturing companies located in other parts of the country, and for whatever social purposes, some of the local governing jurisdictions are passing regulations or ordinances, not welcoming those companies, making it hard for them to expand or to even stay is the threat. So in an effort to try to attract some of those companies to Mississippi, the bill proposes making it, well, I'll read it from here, that the bill prohibits any county, municipality, or state law enforcement agency from adopting a rule that would prohibit a firearms company from operating in that jurisdiction. Is that correct? Okay. And it's only for contracts 40,000 and above. So that's a brief explanation of the bill. I understand Senator Seymour is not feeling well. I'd ask this members of the subcommittee so that we can get our meetings done before the deadline, to go ahead and pass this out, and then we can get with Senator Seymour later if it does go in front of the full committee. If that's agreeable, appreciate a motion. All right. I can make the motion. Motion is title sufficient to pass. All those in favor? Aye. Ayes? Ayes have it. All right. Need a motion to rise and report. So moved. Y'all can deal with that.